This is the last video of this packet. And this video is going to take everything we've done and put it together. So that's why you look here, we just call it putting it all together. So if you look at your targets, look at your learning targets there. They're everything that we've done. Now it's combining all the things we've done into one particular example. The best way to teach this to you is to do it through examples. You're going to see me do 2 examples, and you're going to see me use the calculator. You're going to see me put the answers in GMM as well as write in that Smart Notebook file. This example says Farmer Pibb purchased 9 yoys every hour. He started with 52 of them. So let's look and see what is it that we are given. So reading this again, it says he purchased 9 yoys every hour and he started with 52 of them. So it says, if we look at our problems, it says rate of change and starting amount. It says he started with 52, so that's your starting amount. So you're going to put a 52 here. Rate of change, he's purchasing 9 every hour. So every hour he gets 9 more. And so by doing 9 an hour, that is your rate of change. So we're going to put a 9 there. In GMM, you have different checkpoints that you have to do. So let's check to make sure that we did that correct. So rate of change we said was 9. So we're going to put a 9 there. And then we're going to check it. That says it's okay. We want to check as we go. Starting amount is 52. So we want to check that as we go. So both of those are correct in what we've done. Okay, so we have the second one says write an equation for total yoys y after x hours. Okay, so remember, so we do y is equal to, what are we starting with? We're starting with 52, and then we're adding 9 every hour, and x is the hours. So we're going to do 9x. It tells you right here that x is hours. So y equals 52 plus 9x. That's what it looks like our equation is. So let's go, I'm going to go into GMM now. Y equals 52 plus 9x. And now let's check it. So that's good. We don't want to continue if they're not correct. The fourth question says, how many yoys will he have after 5 hours? Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my calculator. And you're going to go into y equals, and you're going to type this equation, 52 plus 9x. So 52 plus 9, and remember your x is here. X, it's exactly what you see over here. And then I'm going to go to the table because I need to find out when it's there after 5. So I'm going to go second table, and that brings up my table. We want to know how many yoys after 5 hours. So now on our table, we're going to go onto our calculator and we're going to look. Here is 5. So if I go down to 5, which is here, that number that corresponds is 97. So we're going to go here and we're going to write 97. That's from the calculator. We could have done this by hand. We could have said 52 plus 9, and instead of x we put 5. And we could have done the math out by hand. So 52 plus 45 is indeed 97. So now back to GMM. I'm going to put a 97 here, and I'm going to check my answer. So that is correct. Now comes the tricky part in some ways. And that tricky part is we need to graph the relation. And this is the things that you're going to have to remember. We're talking about yoys every hour. So x, remember, represents hours. Right here it says it. So down here, we need to go to this, hit this little wheelie thing, and it's going to bring up what our axes. We have to do our axes. So our x-axis, x are hours, so we're going to put hours here. So hours is here. And y were the number of yoys. So we're going to come here and we're going to pick yoys, which is here at the bottom. Okay, now this is going to say how do you want the increments to go? Well, hours are by the hour, so we'll just leave that going up by 1. But the y-axis, we start with 52 of them. So we need to have this big enough to cover 52. Right now it's only going up to 12. So let's go to here, and we might want to pick maybe tens. And let's see. So if we close this, do we have 50 on our, we do, right? So that was a good choice. Okay, another thing that you're going to have to remember to do, and I'll write these when we go back to the smartboard, is that you need, since this is a one quadrant, see there's only one quadrant here, does not look like a coordinate plane, you need to choose either a ray or a segment. And how you're going to know which one it is if we come up here, if our rate of change is positive, you need a ray. If the rate of change is negative, you need a segment. So I'll write that here for us. I'll actually write that on the smartboard when we get over here. So since it's a positive slope, the 9 is positive, we're going to pick a ray. You always need to start with your starting point. So starting point is 52. So starting point goes on your y-axis. So 52 is about right. Here's 50 here. So we'll put it like right here. So when you click on this, it's going to give you this over here. You can use your arrows to move your point up and down. And then when you think it's set, you hit the check. Now we need another one. Well, if we look, this was 5 hours was 97. You could also go to your calculator. I'll go over to that right now for a minute. So if I go to my calculator, I can plot any one of these. 1 and 61, 2 and 70, 3 and 79, 4 and 88. So I'm going to plot 597. So if I go to 5, here's 5. And then if I go up to 97, it's going to be close to being right here. So I'm going to hit that. Notice the ray is formed. And I think that's good enough. So I'm going to click my check mark. And now I'm going to check it. So checking it, it did it for me. So I'm going to write what I said over in the GMF. So one quadrant, you need a ray or you need a segment. And how you're going to know the difference is a ray is a positive slope or positive rate of change, where a segment is a negative rate of change. I'm going to go ahead and plot that. So remember, we changed this to be hours down here, and this was Joy's, and we went up by tens. So we did, so this was 20, this was 40, this was 60, this was 80, this was 100, and this was 120. And so we plotted 52 because that was our starting point. So we put a point right here. We picked a ray. Remember, we have to do that first. Always pick your ray line or segment first. And then we did 5 and we did 97, which we thought was about right there. And then when we did that, it actually drew us a ray. It takes steps, but you want to make sure you're checking them as you go. You don't want to miss the first one. Do everything based on the first one and then find that everything is wrong. So check them as you go. So as I mentioned in the last example about the last part with graphing, some of the things that I wrote there, well, this here puts it all together for you as well. So remember, when you're graphing, when you get to the graphing part, you must always pick the type of line before you start, and you must always use the starting point. So you have to always plot that starting point. If it's a positive slope and you only see one quadrant, then you're going to choose a ray. And that's going to look like this when you are in your quadrant. It's going to look something like that. So you're going to plot the starting point and then you're going to plot a second point that you're either going to get from your graph, that you're either going to get from your table, or something else that's there. If it's a positive slope and a coordinate plane, that's where you use a line. You still do the same thing as above, plot the starting point, plot your second, but this time it's a line. When I talk about a coordinate plane, you're going to see the whole coordinate plane. That's what it means. We have not seen the negative slope in this example, and we won't at this point, but if you have a negative slope in one quadrant, that's where you choose a segment. So what this one's going to look like is here's your quadrant, your one quadrant, your segment is going to go like that. That's where you choose your starting point and the x-intercept. Where does it cross down here, and up here. You have to start with those. And the last type is if you have a negative slope in a coordinate plane. Again, you choose a line. So in that case, you're going to have this, and your line is going to go like that. If we go back a minute to the coordinate plane up here, this line is going to look something like that. So those are all your situations. Don't worry about it. You'll get a hang of it. We promise. If not, just ask. Here's another example that I want to do with you with the calculator and in GMM, just so that you can get the hang of it. So it says Farmer Yoy started with 53 Kents. So started with 53 Kents on her farm. Every week, she added 10 more. So now this one has us going straight to writing an equation. It says write an equation for total Kents, Y, after X weeks. So that means we're going to have a Y is equal to, then we're going to do our starting at. Our starting at is 53. Then we go to what are we being added or subtracted? Adding 10 more. So that means every week she gets 10 more, and then X. X is the number of weeks. So right away, I know on my graph that weeks is my x-axis, and the number of Kents is my y-axis. We're going to go out to GMM and type that in and make sure we are correct. Y equals 53 plus 10x. And then we're going to check it. So it's good. Now we're going to go to the graphing calculator. And we're going to put in our y equals. So y equals, and we're going to type 53 plus 10x. So 53 plus 10x, which is here. We really don't care about the graph right now. We care about the table. So we're going to do second graph, which is the table. Notice the little table word above there in blue. And now our table, we have to do 0, 1, 2, and 6. So we're just going to copy from our table. So we see that, we should know this because we're starting at it. We see that 0 is 53. And 1, going down to 1 is 63. And 2 is 73. And now that's a 6, so we need to go down to 6. 6 is here, so we're going to go down, and 6 is 113. Now we're going to go back out to GMM and put those values in to make sure we're right. So we had 53, then we had 63, then we had 73, and then we had 113. See if that's correct. It is. Now we have to graph. We're going to graph here before we go, and then I'll go and do it on the smartboard. So this is one quadrant, positive slope, so we're going to pick array. We have to plot that starting value. We have to plot 0, 53. Looking down at our table, we need to change it, don't we? We know X is going up by 1. X is the number of weeks. Our Kents are going up by 10, and so the smallest is 53. So we're going to go here. We're going to hit weeks for our x-axis, and we can go up by 1. Our y-axis, we're going to go Kents, and we're going to go up probably by 10s, I would think. Possibly go up by 5s, but I think 10s are probably easier. So hit close, right? So here's our table. So again, 0, 53 is first. 0, 53, here's 50, so 53 is about right. Maybe there, maybe go up a hair, and then hit OK. And then now you could do any of these. I think the